All right, a little bit of a change up today. This evening's episode was supposed to be a video about nature journaling at a nursery, where I made this page right here and this page. Both of these pages were made while nature journaling at a nursery, and I filmed all of the content for that video and was going to have it to you ready for tonight, but I spilled coffee all over my computer while I was editing. So as soon as I spilled the coffee on the computer, I didn't have an instant freak out, but then later realized all of the ramifications of that and how big of an issue that was going to be for me at this time. And that was a little bit worrisome, but moving forward now, luckily it's getting worked on, but I still don't have the computer yet, so I couldn't edit this video in which I did these pages, even though I filmed most of the content. So I'm just going to do a live from my phone tonight. I won't be able to chat because I can't see the chat very easily when I'm doing this from my phone. So here are some pages that I've done recently, and I'll talk about those a little bit. And I've been filming a lot for my upcoming Skillshare class that I'm working on. It's a huge project, so having the coffee spill, this was the fateful coffee mug right here, having that coffee spill on my computer right while I'm getting ready to go to the Galapagos and wrapping up editing a bunch of stuff for this upcoming Skillshare, creating videos for the YouTube channel. It's a bit of a challenge, but we'll figure it out. And so I'm going to share a little bit of what I've been up to, and then I am going to talk a teeny bit about some of the other things that I'm doing, such as getting ready to go to the Galapagos, and then I will sign off. Here is some pages that you might have seen in the last week's video, nature journaling for yourself. People seem to really like that episode. I was surprised. I thought it would just be the core audience of people, but it's actually performing pretty well on YouTube. I had this open space here, so I put a pressed flower in. Yes, I am still messing around with pressed flowers. Here's my flower press right here, and oh, a little bit of chocolate, and I might show you that. And also peeking out right here is the cover of this new bullet journal. So I might talk about that too, because that's something that I am trying again. I did a little bit of bullet journaling before, and I think I made a video about it. I'm always curious about different journaling techniques, how we can combine them with nature journaling, or how we can use them in their own ways. I also have been doing some using drawing as a learning tool, as a visual problem solving tool, and this is something that I think is super important. I think there's two, here we go, I have a quote about it here. I think that drawing has two major rewards. I think it can give you two things. It can give you decorations. It can be used for decorations, and that gives you a quick dopamine rush when your mom hangs it on the wall or you get 1,000 likes for it. So we got trained from pretty early on, starting as kids, that drawing is a tool for decoration. And if it looks pretty, if it looks cool, then our mom will put it on the refrigerator, or someone will like it on Instagram, and then we'll get a dopamine rush, and we succeeded with a drawing like this. You know, oh, there it is. It's symmetrical. It's sort of pretty. There's something to it. You know, you learn as a kid how to make a four-petaled flower with four sepals and color it in, and suddenly people are like, oh, that's pretty. So that's decoration. There's not very much learning going on, in my opinion, in a drawing such as this. So drawing can give us these two major things. It can give us those decorations. We can pursue it as a form of decoration, or we can pursue it as a form of learning. Drawing as a way to help us with learning, and that is a lifelong pursuit that will feed your mind, soul, and growth as a person. That's my idea of what these sort of two major benefits of drawing are. And the first one is the one that we're so obsessed with, and we often forget this second one. I did an article. Oh, hi, Susan B is here. The chat's showing up in a cool way that it didn't used to. So I did an article on my website about drawing as a learning tool. If you've never read any, oh, and Ivea is there too. If you've never seen any of my blog posts before, Ivea has a couple blog posts on my website too, actually. quite a few. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out at marleypeifer.com. If you can spell my last name, you can find me pretty much everywhere online, most of the places. Oh, James is here too. It's trying to rain there, James. Sorry about that. Or maybe that's a good thing. So here's an example of me trying to use drawing a little bit to explore the design of pockets. I did do this, I did make this wallet for myself for traveling. It's like a passport carrier combined with wallet. This is my plan so that I don't lose my passport this year. Many of you know that I lost my passport last year. And we're there. I think I did a live show after I lost it. So I made this wallet here out of handmade leather. This is actually salmon leather, and I think this is goat leather. This is deer leather, and this is buckskin, also deer leather. So I made that, and I tried to explore. A lot of the people who were making these and the people that taught me, they weren't really using drawing as a learning tool, but I think drawing is super powerful this way. You can experiment with stuff on paper before you start cutting into the expensive leather. I started working on one that would hold a sketchbook. So my next project is to make a leather, maybe it'll be a trifold, and it'll hold a small sketchbook like this, and maybe it can hold a good drawing tool in there. I did not make the leather. This was all, I have tanned buckskin before, and I did do a bark tan salmon skin before, but none of the pieces in this one were made by me. I traded for all of these. I think I traded a bow for this. Anyways, it's a primitive skills gathering type stuff. So that can be approached in our nature journals and in drawing. So I think drawing has a learning component there as well. Okay, so other than that, let's see what I've been up to. I didn't do a ton of nature journaling. I explored a little bit with the opaque side of the forest, as you can see here. A little bit of gouache, putting pressed flowers into my nature journal there. And I think I've showed you most of these pages. As you probably know, my Patreon members get the full page flips, full journal shares. I don't do those on my YouTube channel anymore for the general public. Those are for Patreon members only. So here's another thing I'm going to talk about briefly as an update is I started bullet journaling again, and I bit the bullet and just bought this like pre-made one. It has some benefits over the you can get this almost exact same notebook from Lectern 1917. This is the one that this bullet journal is based off of. This is a little bit cheaper, and you can just sort of freeform journal in here like I have been doing over the last few years. But before that, I did experiment with the actual bullet journal technique, and I think I filled 2 of these before moving on. So I'm going to do a full review about this in a separate video. But if you've never heard of bullet journaling, I recommend you just look it up. And it's a plan. It's in a lot of ways it's a planning system, but it has tools that I think would be interesting to experiment with and see how we might be able to combine some of those tools with nature journaling. For example, they're really into indexing and systematizing, and so I think it's something, if you're a nature journaler or an art journaler, junk journaler, or whatever, I recommend you look into some of these different journaling techniques and see if you can learn anything that you can apply to your nature journaling practice. I'm going to switch the camera around here and give you a couple more updates. And one of those is I have also been playing a little bit more than I used to with small sketchbooks, which I think is really fun. And even doing just really basic landscapes like this, where I try to look at things and practice in the field, doing more really small thumbnails and just forcing it to be small and forcing myself to pay attention more. I've also been experimenting more with drawing stuff from imagination. I think this is something that, especially with drawing animals, can be really, really beneficial. Let me show you an example here. I tried to draw all of these alligator lizards from memory, and this is something that I think a lot of wildlife artists actually practice, and maybe we don't practice that much today in nature journaling. But if you practice drawing things from memory, then when you see the moving animal, you can draw them better because you have much more going on in your brain for memory around what animals look like. So if you're trying to work on drawing moving animals, or you're struggling drawing animals in the field in your nature journal and you're only drawing plants, it might not be because you really like plants that much better. It might be because you're afraid to draw moving animals. So one of the ways you can get better is to actually try to draw them from imagination and draw these simplified shapes. You can also see here that I was doing some of that designing of pockets and working on my passport pouch design in here. And so, like I said, drawing is a learning tool, and trying to practice things like this that are three-dimensional is really challenging, I think, but really useful for nature journalers. And then one last thing I'm going to say about this is trying to draw people and trying to draw the settings where we often spend a lot of our time, I think is a huge hurdle for a lot of us. We're afraid to draw people, especially people that we know. So I think trying to actually practice that a little bit more is really useful, because those are important things to us. Here, for example, I went on a hike with my friend, and this was a really quick moment where we saw a baby rattlesnake. And I luckily had this sketchbook. I didn't have my regular nature journal with me because it's too big, but I had this small sketchbook in my pocket, and I pulled it out and just did a quick drawing where I showed the tail of the rattlesnake. You can see the moving animal. I didn't even capture it. Capture the shape of the head, the little bit of tail, and then I tried to draw my friend standing next to it. So those are a couple things that you can do in your nature journal, in even a small sketchbook like this, to just keep growing in your nature journaling practice. Actually, Ivea, it was so small that it only had one button, and so it wasn't enough to rattle. If it's like, it would be like one hand clapping or whatever. Okay, so a couple more things that I wanted to share before moving on. I am going to be going to the Galapagos. I will be in Galapagos next week, so hopefully I'll have time before that to hopefully I'll get my computer before that and be able to upload some videos, and hopefully I'm going to have better internet while I'm there this year than I did last year, so I will be able to upload more videos. But stay tuned for YouTube Shorts. I'll definitely be able to upload YouTube Shorts, and if you haven't found me on other platforms such as Instagram, I'm on there. Instagram might be a good place to see some of my content while I'm in the Galapagos. So hopefully the computer will get fixed soon. Just want to give you a few updates and a few tips while we're at it. So thanks for joining in. Thanks to my Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. And I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Bye.